Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're looking into the disappearance of Michael Pierce Madden. Okay, this is September 1986, 32 years old, brown hair, blue eyes. He lives in an apartment building. He's going to a university. He's trying to better his life. He didn't have a job, but he was going to a university, and he was living off Veterans Affairs disability pension. He lived in an apartment building, and there was a man who had escaped from an Ohio mental hospital who had been committed there after being found not guilty by reason of insanity on the charges of raping 3 women. Okay? Now, 3 days after Michael goes missing, this man that lives in the same apartment building with him is selling his car. He's got a post office box um, that he rented to get the checks, the pension checks diverted so that he would get the pension checks. He also has a $7,000 GI Bill check that was intended for Michael's education. All right. And he felt like he was justified in selling Michael's vehicle because he tried to say that it was being paid back from a loan. All right. So Michael's never been seen or heard from again. We can assume, well, maybe in my personal opinion, I feel that Michael was murdered, that he's dead, that this man has, possibly feels like he earned his checks and his money and his car and things like that. So, but that's just my personal opinion. That's not, you can't say that's a fact. You can only say that's my opinion. Okay, so this man escaped. He's the person of interest. He was the last person to see him, according to this. And this is towards the end of 1986. So what happened to this man, this William Milligan, who uses the alias Christopher Carr? And I don't understand how he escaped from Ohio. He was able to get a vehicle. He was able to get money to travel with. He was able to get some sort of identification and money to get an apartment to live there. I don't know if he killed somebody or where he got this identification or how he did it or anything. I don't have any clue. But then when I go to look for him, I read articles. There's this article here, right? And it talks about him. He gets released less than this is towards the end of 1986, right? This is September of 1986. He's released in 1988. This William Milligan, who escaped from this mental facility and possibly killed this man to get his money and his vehicle and things like that, he's released from the mental hospital less than 2 years later. Maybe even less than a year and a half later. And the people at the mental facility have to know this happened. So I don't understand why they felt like he was ready to be released. So, and then you read about him, and it's shocking. It upsets me. And it talks about he's a decent looking guy. He looks like a sweetheart. You wouldn't think that he would hurt you, right? So it talks about the 24 faces. He has dissociative identity disorder. See? He has multiple personality disorder, I believe, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me on that. It says he was arrested for the alleged kidnapping, robbery, and rape of 3 Ohio women. It was later revealed in 1978 after many evaluations that he suffered from dissociative identity disorder. He was institutionalized in several jails, psychiatric hospitals. He escaped from that Central Ohio Psychiatric Hospital July 4th, 1986. And then this young man, who's got his whole life ahead of him, he's trying to better himself. I believe he was murdered in September 1986 with good reason because he's never been seen or heard from since then. And the other gentleman knew he was gone enough to start getting rid of his belongings and get his checks and sell his car and things like that. So, it says that after Milligan's roommate Michael disappeared, the criminal fled the state and was later arrested in Florida. It doesn't even mention Michael Pierce. Michael Pierce Madden is not even mentioned. It's not mentioned. It mentions how William Milligan, died of cancer in 2014. It talks about him spending several years living in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Columbus, Ohio, how his sister purchased a mobile home for him to live in, where he spent the remainder of his life painting. I just. Then it talks about dissociative identity disorder. And it talks about it talks about his abuse and how he suffered as a child. Probably physical and sexual abuse, I believe it says, because, oh, where did I see that at? There it is. It's caused Milligan's personality to separate into 24 shards as a coping mechanism. He suffered severe physical and sexual abuse as a child by his stepfather, Chalmer, I don't know how to pronounce that, Milligan. But it doesn't mention Michael Pierce Madden. And I don't understand. I don't understand. I feel like if it seems like William Milligan's life had so much value to people, right? It talks about him kidnapping 3 women from Ohio State University, raped them, and talks about how part of him did it for affection and things like that. So yeah, he's kidnapping and raping women. He uses a multiple personality disorder as defense, and that happened. That happened in, I'm not sure what year it was. I know I read it, but so he uses that for defense, and I think he got 10 years. Okay, I don't know if he got 10 or 11 years, but can't remember exactly. It says the crimes began in the 70s. The first rape was in 1977, right? And he pointed a gun at somebody. He raped her and he made her write a check to him and cash it for him. And then there was like 3 of them in October. And at the age of 22, he had been convicted of rape before he had been in prison that year for robbery. And so they found his fingerprints on one of the victims' cars. So it's just shocking to me. I just find it shocking. And so I mean, you can pause this and you can read it, but the thing that bothers me, it talks about, okay, this talks about his family life, his parents. I guess his father committed suicide or something when he was 4 years old, it sounds like. He suffered from depression and alcoholism. And then in 1963, his mother married that other man whose last name he has, Chalmer Milligan. What was his father's name? Oh, his father's last name was Morrison. So his mother marries that other man who abuses him. So his new stepfather repeatedly sodomized him and otherwise tortured him by burying him alive and hanging him by his toes and fingers. Chalmer Milligan denied all of these allegations and he was never charged. So this makes him snap mentally to where he's doing bad things. He joined the Navy, he was discharged. Him and a friend picked up some women, and a few days later, the women accused him of rape. Milligan and his friends said the women were prostitutes and that Milligan couldn't perform sexually. They weren't paid. A judge found Milligan and his friend guilty, and they served 6 months in a youth camp. After his release, according to a book about him, his personalities began to work as a security guard for a drug and gun dealer. In late 1974, 2 cross-dressing men approached Milligan at a rest stop. He beat them up and took their purses. He helped plan a drugstore robbery in 1975. He was sentenced to at least 2 years in prison and paroled in 1977. 6 months later, the campus area's rape started. Let's see. Athens Mental Health Center wanted to treat him by fusing him, combining all his personality, but they were already fused in a personality called the teacher. The teacher helped the other personalities learn their special talents, and he didn't hold Milligan's consciousness, the others did. So, yeah, it talks about the minds of Billy Milligan and how they're studying him and his multiple personalities. And there's a photo of him. And then it talks about they do books about him. They were doing a movie about him, but I don't know if the movie was ever released. So his life, to me, it seems like his life had value. Milligan drove a truck in Athens from which shots were fired. He was confined to stricter hospitals. He drove a truck. So he was transferred to the forensic center, and then So Keyes reported in his book that Milligan thought was the Chamber of Horrors. When the hospital began its transition in 1980, Milligan was transferred to the Dayton Forensic Center and then the Central Ohio Psychiatric Hospital. Eventually, after more treatment and expert opinion, he was no danger. He was transferred back to Athens. There was more. Milligan drove a truck in Athens from which shots were fired. He was after they thought he was no longer a danger. He drove a truck in Athens from which shots were fired. He was confined to stricter hospitals. He escaped in 1986. Okay? And then it doesn't mention the other guy. The guy that I believe he killed and took it. You know, he's got his checks coming. He's got a $7,000 check. He's got his car. So it talks about how he escaped from the Central Ohio Psychiatric Hospital in 1986, left videotapes for local media outlets. So he's pretty smart because he's leaving videotapes for local media outlets at the Columbus Greyhound bus station complaining of his hospital treatment. At one point while he was on the run, he worked at a hot tub business in Washington State. He was arrested in Miami several months later. I was shocked that he wasn't arrested at this point. I don't understand how he was arrested in Miami and not arrested in Washington. So he was released from Ohio Mental Hospital in 1988. So this gentleman, September 1986, I believe he lost his life. That's my personal belief because this William Milligan, if it's the same person as Billy Milligan, which it sounds like he is, he's got a post office box in Madden's name, getting Madden's pension checks there as well as the $7,000 check, and he also sold Madden's silver Audi a few days after he went missing. This is September. And then in 1988, experts agreed that he had fused and he was released. I don't understand that. And then it talks about he moved to California to work on a movie about his life. James Cameron, Joel Shoemaker. It mentions all these people doing a movie, and I don't know if he got any money from it, but the movie still hasn't been made, so I don't know. But they found that Milligan was incapable of handling his own affairs. They took him to court about royalties and things like that. He declared bankruptcy. It's a lot, and I don't understand. They don't mention, there is no mention of Michael Pierce Madden. There's no mention of his life. No mention of his death. No mention of anyone trying to find out where his body is or what happened to him. Okay? And so I don't understand. But it sounds like he died of cancer and he got to spend years painting and living near his sister. I just don't understand it. Anyway, so I want your opinion. I want to know what your thoughts are. I had never heard of this William Milligan or Billy Milligan before I looked up Michael Pierce Madden. I'm just going through my list of people missing in Washington and trying to see, it would be wonderful if somebody could find out where his remains are so that his family could have his remains and scatter his ashes and have closure. And I think that's what's important. But I don't understand. And yes, I feel terrible. I feel terrible that this man suffered at the hands of his stepfather and had such a horrendous life. But at the same time, the fact that he was able to escape again, and this man who's trying to better his life and going to college has lost his life. So please feel free to leave comments. Like I said, don't forget to pray for their families. And thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye-bye.